can die when I'm done. But maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe we're crazy. Slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find a better place to play? You said that you've never been, but all the things that you've seen will slowly fade away. So I start a revolution from my bed. Cause you said the brains I had went to my Okay. Hi, it's me, Renshan Q, and today I'm gonna teach you about music production 101. So if you haven't heard about me, I took music tech twice in a year. No, not twice in a year, like 2 years in a row, yeah. So if you have absolutely no idea how music nowadays is made, so I'm gonna teach you how. So you're going to see like how am I going to start from zero, from scratch, to 3 songs made completely. So my inquiry question is, how do I compose, mix, and engineer sounds that satisfy streaming platform quality? How do I compose, mix, and produce music for an album, EP, using a digital audio workshop? So if I'm going to put this in a simple word, like most of you probably don't understand what this means, I'm just gonna explain this. A playlist, 3 songs, something that you probably can hear from the radio, like you wouldn't feel like it's weird to hear, like because it's naturally how modern day music is made. And it's using a computer because it's using a digital audio workshop, so everything is done by computer. There's no like real playing guitar, real playing piano, there's nothing. I didn't record anything. I had to do everything on a computer. So here's my goal. Learn more about how to collaborate with artists. I put this in because this is my first time making a song, so I want to take this experience to learn. So I want to learn like how to collaborate because it isn't just me. I'm not the one singing, and I'm just the one making beats. I'm just the one making the what do you call the background music, like the drums that are playing, the melodies. I'm just the one making that, and gain or improve skills at mixing and songwriting. So what this means is I have to take time to research and learn. And everything that's teach outside the class, we haven't get a time to learn as much in the class, so I have to take my own time to learn everything outside the class. But music tech does give me a really good foundation of what I'm doing because I won't just go in blind and don't know what I'm doing. And get a better understanding as I want to learn more about the music industry. I want to put this in because I know that one day in my life, I might get a chance to step into the music industry. So I just want to get like an early chance to taste what it feels like. And it's like in my high school, it's in my high school career. So I think this is a great opportunity for me to learn. So the tool I've used, both of those, one is FL Studio, and this is a digital audio workshop, and I'm using it because I don't got a MacBook. The one in the school right now, it doesn't offer me Logic Pro, which is the one on the right, but I put the Logic Pro on the right because the artist I'm working with is using the Logic Pro, so we're basically using two different digital audio workshops. I mean, two different, but they look different, but they literally work the same. You have to, it's literally working the same. Okay, so this is my background, and you can see the image on the left is me, and y'all need to see my face. You all don't need to see my, because y'all already know what I look like, right? So I didn't put my face. I just put me and my working station on it. And the picture, two pictures on the right is the artist I'm working with. The middle picture is what she looks like, and the right picture is what she looks like when she's recording. So the artist I'm working with, she's in China right now, and she's really passionate about music. For most of you who didn't know, she started writing songs at her third grade, like on her third grade. And she's started getting to know to production, which is music production, which is what I'm doing right now, is in her 10th grade. So it's the same to me, but she's older than me. So I'm just saying she started like literally the same period as me. So I found like this is really cool, and this is like really similar to me. And why I say she's really passionate about music, because she even wrote her college essay on music, which is what I didn't do. I wish I could do that, but I just, I didn't have the ability to. So now I'm gonna walk you through what I did in my 4 weeks of times. And most of you knows, like, if you want to start learning something, you have to first start research. So what I did is I spent my first whole week literally research all the knowledge I haven't learned in the class, and I need to learn outside the class in order to make music. This is how I use my time, like wisely. So you can see on the left image, the title says FL Studio Pop Music Production Full Songwriting Tutorial. So I literally sat there for like 1 hour and a half, watched this guy, made a full song, record a vocal, and mix everything, and wrote a melody on it. So, and I feel inspired. I definitely feel inspired, and I definitely feel I learned a lot. So this is me first time seeing like other people, like, even though this is a rough thing, he did it really rough. He did it only for like an hour, but I still learned a lot from it because he explained everything, every process I need to do. And from the image on the right, I was looking through how to make beats, mainstream beats, like the beats that you can hear today for Doja Cat, FL Studio 20. So this is like my first experience trying to, he's walking through his thought process as he starts writing the sounds. And another process, this is very similar to what I'm watching. This is another version of the tutorial, but this is someone breaking down a song that is already made. In this case, it's Peaches by Justin Bieber. So I've watched this kind of video in my music tech class a lot because Mr. McCune made me watch it because it's literally helpful. It's helpful. I know it's helpful. This guy walks through like, oh, why does this sound like that? Why does this melody sound like that? And what Justin Bieber and his production team did to make the melody, to make his sound. What did he add, and what did he propose, and what did he cut off? And this is really helpful because after watching this video, I started to getting to more have an idea of what I'm doing and what I should be doing, because this guy literally guides me through everything. And one thing that takes me a lot of time is the sound selection. You can see the file list on the left. The file list on the left is a bunch of files that is what you guys call instrument, but what I call one shot kit. So this is whenever you play the sound, it's set to note C, and you can play around with it. So that's how I use as an instrument. And what you guys hear, like the guitar and the piano and everything you guys hear is from here. But this is not it. This is not it. I just want to bring this up because this is taking me up a lot of time because I literally sit there for like 2 hours clicking through each sound. And if I found the right sound, I'd be like, oh, this is it. This is inspiring. And if not, I just keep clicking through each sound. And the middle image, the middle column is, I want to show you like a song that is made. It's made out of different combinations of sounds, of instruments. And a song that is, you have to combine everything together to make a sound. So if you hear a sound, you probably hear like a piano, guitar, or like bells, everything. You have to make up different patterns. You can't just roll the melody and use every one of them. Use every instrument on the melody. And the right image is me trying to render the sound. Like, because every time when I finish what I'm doing, I always save it and I render it and I send it to the artist so she can be like, oh, this sounds great, or this is trash. So I don't want to say the word trash because sometimes she just doesn't have inspiration. So I feel like this is trash. Okay, so that's enough. So the process, after me picking out the sound and write down the melody, the next process is what I call the most important process. It's called mixing and improvement. So if you heard something, you heard a piano, and you heard like it's echoing, it's not probably because the piano is echoing itself. It's probably because we add a reverb or we add a delay that's making the piano echo. And you can see the left down image. That's what we call an EQ. An EQ is basically boosting or cutting out the frequency. So a little knowledge, if you didn't know, all sounds are made out of frequencies. And there's a certain frequency that sounds good, and there's a certain frequency that sounds bad.
1 minute.
Yeah, so, okay, that's 1 minute, okay. Okay, what I did is I cut out the bad frequency and I boost the good frequency. So, yeah, and this is more mixing and this EQ, and the second one is what makes the melody bouncing, and the third one is delay, that's what makes the thing echoey. And the fourth one is reverb, that's what you hear right now, that's me speaking in a big room. So this is product week 3. Enough talking, I'll just let you guys hear it. This is the before. Hold on, this isn't playing. I'm not muted, I don't think. Oh my, Hold on. Can I unplug this real quick? Yeah. So if you guys can hear it, you probably understand what this line means. So before and after is like what the finished product. We have all the vocals and all the EQs and all the everything, reverb, mixing, and everything level out. And it's gonna sound amazing. It's gonna sound like what you guys hear on the radio or on Spotify or anything. And this is week 3. This is week 4. Let me just hit play. And yeah, the personal skill I've gained is communicating. So me and the artist, she's living in China and I'm living in the United States right now, so we have to communicate. I have to stay up late because there's a 12-hour like time gap. And personal skill I've gained is sound selection, because whenever you're selecting a sound, you have to hear everything by ear, and you have to find the one that's inspiring you. And mixing and mastering, that's what makes the beat finish. And skill from FHS I've used is time management and creative thinking, because I have to think out all the melodies, and music technology. Thanks to Mr. McCune, because I don't just start from zero, I actually start from something, some knowledge I have to know. So how does this help me academically? Because I know that one day I'm gonna step into music industry, so this helps me to have a better understanding of what making a song look like, what the process look like, and how does the process start and finish, and what's going on in between. Communication is essential between music artists, because sometimes if you're just working on something that isn't just inspiring, that's not okay. And music technology is easy to get into because everyone can download it. It's not free though, but everyone can download it, but there's actually a lot mixing and mastering and everything going on under it. It's not just as easy as you thought. And making a song isn't just about music and lyrics. There's more work behind it that's being done. I'm talking about the studio work, which I haven't done, the vocal and the studio work. So it's like a production team. So shout out to FHS, Ms. Levitt, Ms. Peterson, and Music Tech, and a big thank you to Chief Yanga and Mr. McCune. Thank you, guys. Yay. Any questions?
that. Okay. Yes, so I should be good.
We will give you like the ready to go when we both sit down. So just stand up here, enjoy the spotlight.
Okay. Okay, so hi, I'm Lily Tiffany, and this is my senior project, From Script to Stage. So a few of my project goals included fostering an inclusive theater environment. I personally believe in equality and inclusivity to the max, and I believe that a theater should be an environment where everybody's welcome and everybody can showcase their skills or learn something new. So that was one of my biggest goals, and then alongside that, I wanted to bring my own work to life. Because this was an original production that I wrote, it had never been produced, so I thought, I'll bring it to the stage, I'll perform it for the public. Another goal would be to get... So I had a little bit of previous experience with the Theater 2 10-minute plays here at Freeport, but I had never directed a full-length play, let alone a play that I wrote, so I thought I would expand my skills a little bit by producing this play. And then from there, I thought it would be a good idea to work with a professional playwright because I wrote the play, I sort of have like a biased view. So I wanted to get another set of eyes on the script. So I reached out to Elizabeth Guffey, who is a resident of Freeport, and she has edited and produced her own work. So I thought it would be great to reach out to her and sort of get her view on the subject and see what she could bring to the table regarding my script. And then aside from that, I wanted to do some work to make this play performance ready. Because I wrote it in the spring of 2020 as my exploration project, it wasn't ready to be performed on stage for spring 2021. It wasn't COVID friendly, it wasn't ready to come to the stage. So I had to do a lot of work to switch things up and make it performable for spring 2021. And then from there, some process pieces. One of the biggest pieces was auditioning and casting. This was difficult because everybody did a really nice job, and it was really hard for me to choose who was gonna be who in the show. But it was successful because a lot of people sent in audition pieces. I had 10 slots open for roles and 8 people sent in tapes. So that was really good. And I managed to get people casted, and it took a long time, but it was successful in the end. And then scheduling was also a big piece because everyone had different things going on and a bunch of people were underclassmen still in school. It was important to find a way to get everyone's schedules to sort of coincide and give everyone adequate rehearsal time. And then coming up with a calendar, that's what you see in this corner here. This is really important because it allows everyone to see what rehearsal is going to entail and when they need to be there. So this was good for myself because I sort of had a better idea of who's going to be where at what time as the director. But this also helped my casting crew to sort of know where to be and when. And then gathering set pieces was really important. That's this notebook image here. Most of my set pieces were actually already in the Freeport High School theater storage. So I didn't actually have to do a lot of looking. I pretty much found everything I needed. But I did have a couple of gaps and a few more things that I did need, so that was a good opportunity for me to collaborate with people in the community and sort of get some donations or have people lend me items, so that was definitely successful. And then building a crew was really important because you can't have a play without a crew. So I needed to sort of put together a tech team that knew what they were doing, excuse me, and could help this show sort of come to life. And then some rehearsal successes and rehearsal challenges. Some of the biggest successes were using this space and the light board. This was really helpful for everyone because it gave everybody the chance to sort of practice where they were going to perform, so everyone could get a sense for like the space and how the light was going to be hitting us. So that was really successful. And then having everyone together, this was a rarity because everyone's rehearsal schedules were different. But when I did have an all-cast rehearsal, it was really helpful for everyone to sort of be able to work with the people they knew they'd be performing with and not have to have people stand in for others. That was definitely helpful for myself and I think for everyone else. And then the fact that the rehearsals were after school, but pretty much before sports practices was really nice because some of the people in my cast are doing spring sports. So they needed to have a time where they could rehearse before practice, but after school. So having that window, it was 1:30 to 3:30 pretty much every day. So that was really helpful for those people that did sports. And then another success would be getting a feel for other cast members. So a lot of the people that I worked with in this production hadn't necessarily worked with other people in the production. So it was really nice to have everyone sort of come together and work with people that they might not have worked with before, and sort of expand their theatrical knowledge with new people. And then for some challenges, conflicts was definitely one of the biggest ones. People had sports, appointments, quarantining. It was just really difficult to find a time when everyone could be together. And then tech delays was another challenge because I had certain windows of the technical aspects like lighting. I had someone for lighting, but I didn't have someone for costumes. So the lighting work was progressing, but then nothing was happening with the costumes. So that was challenging because there were just big gaps and nothing was really happening there. And then line memorization was a challenge for myself and for I think everyone else because most of that work takes place outside of rehearsal time on your own. So finding the time, the space, the resources to go over those lines and sort of get them into your head was challenging for myself and I think for the rest of my cast as well. And then the final challenge I have listed here was not everyone being busy all the time, which is pictured here right below. You can see someone is in a scene and then everyone else is kind of sitting. And so as the director, it was my responsibility to sort of keep everyone busy and make sure everyone had something productive to do that was a good use of their time. And then, as you can see in this picture, there's a lot of sitting happening. So it was definitely challenging to sort of give everyone something to do all the time. And then these are some pictures from my process. So this is some hair and makeup ideas put together, and then some costume ideas that are put together. This is some examples of communication about scheduling, rehearsals, and expectations of the whole cast. And then some examples of bios, which will be featured in the program during the show. And then this is all about my poster. So the poster was challenging because I had to think about the artwork and the text that was on the poster. So I knew I was going to go with this artwork, but the text was still a little wonky because as you can see, it's down the side here. But I decided I didn't like that because it was kind of covering up a little bit of the art that I wanted to be sort of in the spotlight. So we moved to this draft, and as you can see, the text is across the top. And then it's really difficult to see, but in the bottom corner, there's some black text that talks about when and where the show is. And because that was really hard to see, we ended up turning that blue, and then this was the final poster that we used to put up and give out to the cast and crew. And then this is the first page once you open the program of the actual show. So this was nice to have because I was very proud of how it's actually coming together. And then the show is going to be performed here in the FPAC tomorrow night at 7. So I'm very excited for that. And then for skills that I used and gained, I definitely used leadership, networking, and professionalism skills from my 4 years in the JMG program. Acting skills from theater classes, but also from productions that I did, like the musicals and the one-acts. And then writing and editing skills from all 4 of my English courses, and emailing skills from essentially every class. The emailing skills were very important because a lot of the communication was through email. And then some skills that I gained were patience. It was really important for me to be patient with my cast, but also with myself, because taking on the director sort of role was really difficult. It was important for me to be patient with myself when it came to ordering others around, I guess, and sort of steering the ship. And then for communication and collaboration, those were definitely big pieces with faculty and staff at Freeport, with my cast and crew, with community members. So that was definitely something that I sort of built on. I had already had those skills, but I feel like I definitely built on those quite a bit. And then being a director. Directing a longer production is really difficult, and I think that I will continue to use the skills that I sort of built through this process as I go on to college, majoring in theater. So that was definitely a good skill to gain. And some of my biggest takeaways were the scheduling being really, really difficult because everyone's in a different place at a different time, and it's just almost impossible to get everyone in the same place being productive at the same time. And then producing an original work takes a multi-perspective director. So because I wrote the play, I was sort of biased and I had my own view of what I thought it should be. But because I had other people portraying my characters, I needed to sort of take into account everyone else's views and ideas and sort of warp my original view to make sure that everyone's ideas were included and that everyone was sort of feeling good about their character and how it was going to work for the show. And play production is not easy. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of time and effort and questions that come from everyone. So yeah, it's a long process, and it takes a lot of steps, but it's also really fun. It's a nice experience, and I'm really glad that I was able to produce an original piece before even graduating high school. So that's really nice. And then these are some images from rehearsals and some examples of some headshots that will be in the programs and hopefully in the lobby for the show. And then my thank yous go to Elizabeth Guffey for being my editor, Ms. Safley for being my project advisor, Mesa O'Connor for designing and creating the poster, my mom, my dad, and my sister for supporting me in every way possible, lending me cars and all that. The Performing Arts Boosters for donating food and supporting me through the whole process, the cast and crew for all their hard work and dedication and putting up with me not knowing what's happening half the time, and then Ms. Levitt and Ms. Peterson for hosting senior projects and all their time and effort that went into that, Malia Schneck for taking the headshots, and then Pownell Veterinary Hospital for donating pieces of the set for the show. That's my presentation. Yes, Ms. Peterson.
Can you give us a quick summary of what the play is about?
Yeah, so she asked if I could give a quick summary of what the play was actually about. So it's about a girl that is having some issues with her personal life, and she's got issues with her parents, and things are just kind of going downhill for her. So she turns to writing, and she kind of decides to write a play and submit it for the One Act Festival, and she sort of has this whole journey sort of integrating theater into her life and building new relationships and coming into her own, I guess. So, yeah. Yeah, Ms. Blair.
Lily, what element of this process did you find most rewarding, and is there any element that you want to incorporate into your future career aspirations?
Yeah, so she asked what element I found most rewarding and if there was an element that I was going to incorporate into my future career in theater. I think the most rewarding part was seeing how everyone came together as one to sort of create something, even though they sort of didn't know the concept at first. They all came together and sort of formed this group that produced something that really is coming along really nicely and is going to be really nice. And I think it's really rewarding to see my work come to the stage and have so many people interested in working on that with me. And then I think the piece that I'll take with me is definitely the patience, because going into college as a theater major is going to require a lot of meditation and calming myself down. So I think the patience and sort of giving myself the time to critique and edit and fix things up, even when I think they're good enough, is definitely going to be an important step for me. So, yeah. Yes, Ms. Levitt.
What did you learn about leadership from this project, especially because the success of it depends so much on other people?
Yeah, so she was asking about what I sort of took away from this regarding leadership. So I think the biggest piece is that everyone has different ideas, and you can't just go with one and be the boss of everything. You have to listen to people and think about what they need and what they want, and especially with a play, what's going to make them feel comfortable on stage and sort of make it so that they have enough rehearsal time to feel confident in their performance. Because if I was just directing this play and it was all my ideas all the time, it would not be going well. So having other people's ideas in there and sort of leading with the influence of others has definitely been helpful for myself and for everyone else, I think. So, yeah.
play something from your slideshow, Jacob.
For coming to my senior presentation, these halls. My question, how do I express myself effectively through a 4-track EP? And well, I'll tell you how I did it, but first, we need to talk about my tools. What I need to make music is a digital audio workstation. It's something that Q had talked about earlier if you were here for the last couple presentations ago. So from left to right, we have Reaper, Ableton Live, and GarageBand. And with these 3 softwares together, I was able to record, compose, and compile everything that I had done in the past 4 weeks. Percussion, these rooms probably look familiar to you. We have a glockenspiel, vibraphone, and xylophone. On the top right, we have a marimba. And on the bottom right, we have a timpani and some varied auxiliary percussion. And then on the bottom left, This is at my own place, it's not here. We have a mallet station. It's like a MIDI controller that plugs into your computer, but it looks like those mallet instruments up there. It's great for practicing, I love it a lot. Drum set, I've had this for pretty much my whole high school career. It was where I played all the drums for all the tracks. Audio recording equipment, thanks to the help of Mr. McEwen up in the booth, I got to use his Zoom Handy recorder. It's a great device. And for drums, I used the FirePod Studio by PreSonus and the Takstar drum mic kit, which I've had for a couple years now. So without further ado, let's talk about the first song that you'll hear on the EP, Quartz. Initially, I don't know how these videos are gonna work. Initially, Quartz started as this. So it doesn't sound great, but that's okay. It's just the MuseScore sheet music rendering. It's not supposed to sound good. It's supposed to give you an idea. So for this first draft, the first 4 chords were good, but not for this. So I decided to just use these last 4 right here, which you can hear right here in the first draft. And as you can hear, I used pads just to set this very moody and atmospheric tone. Is this good for everyone in the house? Just out of curiosity. Alrighty, so as you can hear, I'll just explain the drum groove because I had to cut the inspiration slides because this presentation was 20 minutes. So it's pretty much, for those of you who know music, it's like the Latin 3-2 clave. I'll set the clicker down for a minute. So, except you cut the 2 out, and then on every 3rd hit, you play the snare. So the groove that is being played is, and that's a very Latin inspiration. I don't know where I got the idea to do moody atmospheric jazz thing and Latin. I don't know where that came from, but it works. Okay. So it needed a melody, because obviously, we had a general idea, but it didn't have a melody. So I figured, easy. I have the chords. I'll just put it in sheet music, write out a little melody, export it. Problem. Nope. I got it into sheet music, and as a good way to kill some time, I wrote a whole percussion ensemble arrangement in a completely different key. And that was going to be the bridge for my track, this percussion bridge, so to speak. So without further ado, here is a snippet of the final draft. I obviously can't play the full thing here. It's 3 minutes. But here it is. This is all mixed by Aaron Stevens, too, by the way. He's great. I highly recommend him for anything music here at the high school. I know it's a bad spot to end. I'm sorry. But we'll get to where you can hear the full thing later. But we have some more things to cover. Not playing the video again. For the second song I'm going to talk about is On the Floor. This is technically the first song that I had started, but you get bored of hearing the same thing, Sometimes you just got to make different music. So initially, it started from this very small section of my enormous saved projects folder. And I'd found this one, And I like these chords. So I built this kind of disco groove thing around it, which I like a lot. No. It's a whole thing with using the clicker and trying to alternate. It doesn't work as well as you would think. So for this next draft, I had made a melody using the mallet station, and like I think Emma Rank has talked about comping, where you like have one continuous line, but it's like several different takes combined. So I did that with the mallet station, and I think you might recognize the vocalist, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So I did all these vocals using this VST that I've had for a couple years, named Acquiescetone, to mimic the vocal stylings of KK Slider the dog from Animal Crossing. He is a huge musical influence on me and my artistic journey. Plus, I didn't want to sing on this project because I would be presenting here. So I figured I'd make KK do it. And then, okay, it just fades out. No. All right. And that's my bad, but I started working on this like bridge. It's kind of this weird anime intro thing. The influence for this project is all over the place. You have some disco, some anime, some Latin jazz, it's all over the place. So for the final draft that I did, and I just want to talk about the doubling for a second. Amelia Farron talked about this yesterday, but something McEwen also taught me was layers matter. Like, you can't just do one sound. It gets boring. You got to give the ear something. So I think some of you may have been able to pick up on it. I started doubling the KK slider with a synth that I'd faded in that was slightly out of tune, but not like enough so your ear, which is used to 12-tone equal temperament, would be like, ew, this is not good music, but just enough. So with that, I'll figure this video thing out eventually. Song 3, Just the Two of Us, originally by Bill Withers and Grover Washington Jr. It was for a project in Music Tech 1, highly recommend the class, it's great, where you listen to a song and note for note you have to recreate it in GarageBand. So started it in April, then I'm like, I can put this on my EP. So I did. So here is a quick preview of that.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through.
As much as we all love Just the Two of Us, for time constraints, I can't play all of it. And that's obviously not me singing. Shout out to Jam Kazam for having great royalty-free backing tracks. All right. So you may have noticed you haven't seen any album art, and that is on purpose. I wanted to keep it a surprise till the end. So it started as these two photos, which if you follow me on Instagram, you helped poll which one was my senior photo. And this hallway right here, which is that hallway out there. And I wanted this to turn into this. This is my album art for these halls. I couldn't just take a photo of a hallway. I thought that was a bit too bland for what I was going for. So I put it in paint.net and I used the line tool and I like traced out the hallway, a little bit of foundations of artwork in there. Haven't done that in a while. And then obviously I don't have green skin, but I figured this would really complement, instead of just having this colorful hallway, but to have these like figures that were me, but just colored differently. Successes and challenges. I made 4 songs, and you're like, wait, we only covered 3. That is true. When I went over to Aaron Stevens to mix like quartz and on the floor, he had heard On the Floor, and he made a remix, and he had surprised me with it when I went over. So that's part of the EP as well, which obviously for more than just that, shout out to him. Made quality album art. You don't need money to do it. Paint.net is free, all the photos I had. Yep, 1 minute, true. And I also got to figure out, that's not the right term. I got to explore my creative process, which those of you who don't do music, a lot of people think you just have one way of writing a song and you keep doing that forever until you don't. But that's really not the case. I mean, for this, I had a combination of writing sheet music, just messing around with sounds in Reaper, or like even playing electronic drums instead of putting real ones, which is a huge tone shift from what I usually do. For my challenges, I had a lack of direction. This was supposed to be a five-track concept album about my time and experience at FHS and the emotions that encompassed it. I did a week of that, and then I was like, man, I have a month and I cannot handle the maturity that comes with making an effective concept album. So I decided to make the music that I knew I could pull off. Writer's block, it happens to all of us. There were some days I just didn't have anything in mind. And along with the writer's block, the motivation of working, sometimes it's just not there. Skills used and learned. So on the left here, we have learned. How to perform music. Shout out to Mr. McEwen for guiding me on how to not be a bad musician. Public speaking, I'm doing that right now. Shout out to Miss Blyer. How to make music, also learned that from McEwen. Perseverance, sometimes you just don't want to work. Through Boy Scouts in life, figured out how to just keep pushing through. What I learned, how to mix and master from Aaron, shout out to him. How to vary songs, obviously we're dealing with two very different tracks, these original songs that are two very different. And how to use different approaches to songwriting was something that I really enjoyed learning. Thank you, said most of these already. Thank you to Mr. McEwen, Aaron Stevens, Ellen Jolly for the photo, my parents for their continued love and support, Miss Blyer for public speaking, doing that right now, Miss Peterson and Miss Levitt for organizing all of this, and Freeport High School for a great 4 years. Any questions? I'll just back now. Let's see. Miss Peterson.
What was an unexpected challenge?
So Ms. Peterson asked, what was an unexpected challenge? I would say an unexpected challenge would be just song structure in general for On the Floor. I'm kind of a rule breaker. I don't like following them. But like having to make something that could be considered radio friendly, where I had to think about a verse and a chorus, which is something music tech helped me appreciate a lot. That was hard. I was like, ew, I don't like this. But we came around. Any other, see one in the back, is that Mason? Ooh, what is my favorite song? That's a hard one, but it's gonna be Quartz. I think my unique combination of electronic and percussion production is like one of the best things I've done to date. Any other questions? You with the red hat. Favorite to make? Can I be cheap and say both of them? Is that an answer? Because I mean, they both had different aspects I liked a lot. I liked exploring percussion ensemble writing for chords, and I liked making really groovy bass lines for On the Floor. So I think they're both equally my favorite in terms of what it took to make them. Yeah, you with the maroon shirt. Where can you find? I am so glad you asked. So, because of DistroKid needing at least 4 weeks to get it out on time, and I uploaded everything last week, I've uploaded the full mixtape to my YouTube channel, Jacob Miller Drums. You don't have to check it out, but I put in a lot of work, and I'd appreciate it if you did. And because it's not on Spotify, but when it does, if you follow me on Instagram, I post pretty consistently, and then you can see the updates for when that finally does hit stores.